BookTube, and we are three horsemen of the apocalypse. Mark has the bubonic plague. Came on this afternoon. Either that, or as I was telling Greg before, he's got cooties. He's a teacher, so yeah, we're opting for the cooties. So how you doing, gents?
I'm doing good today.
I'm fine and dandy. Fine and dandy. I had an in-person meeting this morning to go to put on pants and everything.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I hope you put on pants.
It's a requirement. It wasn't before I was eligible for these meetings, but they've oddly added it as a requirement now. I had to go in person and talk to people. It's kind of weird.
Well,
and it was warm. Even this morning, it was warm when I was going to that meeting. It was already the type of thing where I was instinctively looking for shade to walk in.
Hi, Jenny. Yeah, I was saying the temperature here is still hovering around freezing for some reason.
Yeah, you're going to get blasted though.
I have my sun deck, and my sun deck is always pretty warm because it gets full southern exposure. So it gets lots and lots of sun. And it's like 40 degrees out, and my sun deck is like 62.
Wow.
Because it's inside. So, of course, on a day like today, I had the windows down and the fan rolling, and it's still in the 80s. I'm going inside. It's too hot.
Oh, I remember those days. It's not true for me anymore. I have to watch out for the little bean, but for me, it's never too hot. Never. I would never run a fan, much less an AC unit, if it weren't for her. But
my cats love it.
They love the worst in the UK. The United States, I think El Nino is going to spare the United States this summer largely, but it's going to blast the UK, and you don't have the infrastructure for it at all. I talk to people that live in Europe where there's no one within 3 towns distance where they live that even sells an AC unit, and even if they did, the buildings can't. The windows are like this, so there's no place that can have it. There's no way for it to work.
The only way is to have one of those portable ones. They sell those here, but they're pricey, and you still got to have a vent out the window.
Yeah, you have to have a vent, and they're mighty noisy, aren't they? The portable ones.
I don't know. They say that they're not any noisier than a fridge, but I don't know. So we'll have to see.
When I lived in the Pacific Northwest, they don't put AC in homes when they build them. It's just non-standard. And we moved out 2004. We were having our house built, and I said, put in the AC. And they said, okay, you're never going to use it. But we wound up using it a lot because it kept getting hotter every summer. And now more and more people out there are saying, we got to put in AC.
Yeah.
Even though realistically out there, you use it for maybe 2 months at the most, and then you don't need it.
Right. But the thing about these manic swings of temperature is that for those 2 months, it's almost uninhabitable if you don't have it.
That's right.
That's if we were talking about a steady rise, maybe we would all acclimate, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about it being freezing cold where Shawn is, and us being only a month away from runaway wildfires in half the United States.
So one thing I noticed, I don't do that well in heat anyway, with the humidity, but since I've had the COVID, it just seems to turn my brain to mush more than normal. It's really affecting me with the COVID. And I found last summer it was really affecting me in the heat. And then I realized I did a bit of search, and I found so many other people saying the same thing.
Oh yeah,
it is.
Yeah, there was just a paper in I think it was Physiology. There was just a paper a month ago about someone examining the neurological similarities between long COVID and neuropathy that you get from chemo, where both affect your peripheral nervous system and sort of make it go haywire. and that for some weird reason, no one understands anything about long COVID, and for some weird reason, it seems to be the people who have it often have that kind of haywire peripheral nervous system, where the peripheral nervous system gets the input of heat or humidity and just goes nuts, just collapses.
Well, I there's times I'll feel cold, and I never have before. Like just last night in the evening, I was sitting here and I was freezing, but it wasn't that cold.
Shawn, a good measure to take against the heat would be to get rid of a lot of those books. They're insulating you. If you'd like me to arrange for that, I'd be happy to.
Insulation makes you warmer in the winter and cooler in the summer.
Right, but if you're suffering, I mean, I'm only trying to help you. I'm thinking of you.
Do you know how much it costs to ship a book to England?
If I'm offering in the kindness of my heart if we're going to do an insulation tour for Shawn, we're going to want to get rid of all of those books.
All those books.
If it's all of them, I'm willing to foot the bill.
Okay. Maybe you can hire a container ship.
Here's my vein. You might as well just get
Shawn,
it over with.
You can keep Edgar. I'm not a monster. You can keep Edgar. But I think those books really have to go. They're only going to make you so much hotter during the summer.
Somehow I'm not believing you, Steve. I should show you what I got today in the mail. I did a video. Well, we'll get to our Friday reads. This one is going to be all different. I don't know who sent this.
Oh,
ooh,
oh my God.
Folio Clarissa.
Care to slide one of those out and show us the illustrations?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not. They're a bit strange, the illustrations, because they're not full page. And I don't know why they haven't done that.
There are no full-page illustrations?
No, well, they're on a full page, but they're not full page. I'll show you what I mean. Let me find one. I was having difficulty finding them earlier.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Were those done for that edition?
That I'm not sure. Because they might be originals and maybe they would look too funny blowing up. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
It says the text used here was first published in 1985 by Penguin.
Okay, but the Penguin 1985 edition didn't have any illustration.
No, it doesn't. Okay, what does it say here? Illustrated by Simon Brett for the Folio Society, 1991.
Oh, what the hell? What does it have? End papers? What do the end papers look like?
See, this thing, it's nice silk here, but the end paper is just plain.
Oh my God! Well, you only got it as a present. God help us! Who can imagine how much that cost to buy?
And I was looking at the back here. It looks like Steve. They might have been owned by you because it looks like you probably put this volume in.
I know somewhere Mark Richardson is wincing, even though we're not together. He doesn't like me to be on camera with a box set, especially a Folio Society.
But yeah, this is really nice, like the silk.
It's very nice of someone to send it to you.
Yeah,
I'd be royally PO'd if I bought that, because that's not a very good Folio Society.
Maybe that's why it was sent to him.
Can you imagine how much that costs? How much?
I don't know. I don't have any Folio edition books, and I'm sort of thinking I should get one someday.
No, because I only knew. I mentioned. Oh, I got it upside down. I mentioned it. The whole thing's upside down. I mentioned it because I was searching. I was searching to see what edition, or if it was abridged, the Penguin one, after we were talking, because. But I found out that it was, it's a text of the first edition, so it's not abridged. It's just the first edition.
It's not abridged, but it's not all of Clarissa. That's the key difference. It's not abridged, but it's not all you could read of Clarissa if you wanted to.
I have it on Kindle, and it's just so amazingly long. I'm just like, no, I think I'll do a couple other books.
Well, I realized, like, I compared the line number, the number of lines in the Penguin one to a normal paperback that's out now, and basically it was like because there's no dialogue, there's 2.5 pages almost per Penguin page because it's bigger. So that's 15. So that's over 3,000 pages of a normal thing, and that's not complete.
But would you actually read Clarissa in that edition?
I think I will now. Yeah, I think I will because it's easier. I'm finding it difficult to hold the Penguin because I got joint pain. Like, it's hard to hold things with my hands, my fingers. The joints are really sore, and it's hard to hold the Penguin open because it's so big. These sort of will stay open, and I can just hold it in my hand like this. So it'll be much easier for me to read now.
I don't indulge in Folio Society unless I find one for $1 at the Brattle. They're really sturdily made. So, you know, if I find a Folio Society at the Brattle that doesn't have a box, so I don't have to worry about destroying it by putting it in and out, the book itself is really solidly made.
Yeah.
But I had a Folio Society years ago, really, really pretty thing of the Travels of Marco Polo. I think that was Folio Society. Don't they do the Travels of Marco Polo?
They did one a long time ago. I don't know if recently, but yeah.
Somebody got me. Somebody knew that I loved that book, and they got me a Folio Society of the Travels of Marco Polo, and they happened to be visiting. It wasn't the time they gave it to me. It was a later visit. They happened to be visiting when I had it open on the coffee table to an illustrated page, and I guess the ink on the page must have smelled different than the paper because one of my dogs was attracted to it and started licking the page, and I reached over and said, "Hey, you quit licking that." And my dogs don't pay any. They know that I'm not going to discipline them. So they viewed that as an invitation to play. And while the giver of the book was sitting there in the room over wine and calzones, the dog grabbed the page and pulled it right out of the book and started running around with it, tearing it to pieces. And then all the other dogs got in on the fun, and they were tearing it to pieces too. Well, my friend was just staring in abject horror. So I don't have Folio Society editions anymore. I don't even have that one anymore. My friend said, when the night was over, my friend said, "Well, you still have the book. It just doesn't have one illustration." And I didn't have the heart to say, you know, if the dogs found it that much fun, I was going to let them destroy the whole book. And we did. We took us a whole month to destroy the whole thing. We had a blast doing it. I wouldn't change that for anything, but I don't have the book anymore.
Yeah, well, Aaron, with regards to it's easier. Like I think there's the lettering is larger in the folio, so it's a little easier than the Penguin. The Penguin I'm finding so awkward to hold. As I say, it was so awkward to hold. Let's catch up on here. Spaminator, weird. I don't have long COVID, but after having a serious case of COVID, the heat definitely affects me more than it used to. Yeah.
Well, Spaminator, that might mean you do have long COVID. There are all kinds of variations of this thing, and no one understands it.
And I think mine can get pretty bad at times. But when you read about people who really have bad long COVID, and it's like I can actually still function. I can read occasionally, and I can do some things, and there's many that can't do anything.
For a while, I would jump on social media and slap down people who said that long COVID was caused by the vaccine by pointing out that there are countless people who were not vaccinated, who got COVID and then got long COVID. It obviously wasn't. That's just propaganda. Then I just stopped because it's a full-time activity. If you do that, it's just a full-time activity.
Sean, is there maybe a book holder to help you? There are some things.
Perhaps a 20-year-old book holder. Good glutes, good delts. They'll need them to hold your books. Shall we check the men's room of the Odeon in Leeds? Perhaps that's what Sean needs. Any of you out there know where you can hook him up with a 20-year-old book holder?
But you've got the wrong side of the for there.
What on earth could you mean?
No, the thing is, it's like some of those things, but most books don't open up. That's the problem. The thing is, like the Penguin, The only way to do it is to I have to channel Steve probably in order to open up the penguin. I'd have to destroy it. I'd have to break it.
Merely give your book holder, your book opener, discrete instructions. All right, hold that pose exactly until I stick my finger in and tell you how to change. It's perfectly normal instructions. Your book holder would have it sorted in no time.
Yeah, not all omnipotent poobah. Some of the translations are actually the newest translations on many of them. The Les Miserables was the best translation up until the Christine Doniger one. I sort of wished they would do, or I wish they would do the Christine Doniger one. And the Rabelais was by Screech, but that was a special edition, which was, I think, 600 and some pounds. So I only bought 4 of them rather than one.
Can't we say that Omnipotent Poobah is right? I mean, the Folio Society does prioritize form over function. Their function might be good, but I mean, he's right that you're definitely buying form.
But you're buying a really well-made book that you can read over and over. So
right.
is that form?
An unostentatiously well-made book, an overly well-made.
Very on the level of ostentatious, they're down here because there's
$600.
What?
$600 should come with airfare to the men's room at the
those
old Odeon in Leeds.
Yeah, those are the special edition ones. They're limited to whatever, and they're on special paper. They're letterpress.
About them is that they don't seem like they're meant to be read.
I think they are meant to, not the maybe the limited edition ones, but the regular ones like this are meant to be read. Or I read.
I would be scared to be reading a 600-page book because I'm sitting on my couch reading, and all of a sudden I got a cat that comes in and just decides, hey, scratches it, and
I agree completely. Cats are evil.
Well, everybody knows the actor John Larroquette, or do you know the actor John Larroquette? He collects modern first edition, and I remember him talking about that he reads them. So, like he says, his wife always berates him because he'll fall asleep with a $20,000 book. He'll fall asleep reading it.
He strikes me as the type that wouldn't give a crap about what other people think.
Yeah,
I don't think he cares if a book costs $20,000. Go, oh, some pocket change.
Yeah. I don't
know why he hasn't really broken out. I don't know why that is never. He seems relegated to being permanently a television character actor that everybody loves, which is not a bad gig if you can get it. But I don't know. I always want more from him. I never see him in any role on any TV show where he isn't the best thing. And yet, I guess that's enough. That counts, right?
It pays the bills. I'm sure there's lots of bike racks at the Odeon Theater.
Bike racks? Is that what the kids are calling it these days?
No, it's the old what's his name, the Scottish comedian's joke about his wife or what's it? I can't remember the whole joke thing, but I can't remember. I won't even try it. My brain won't allow me. It's odd. The heat thing is my only lingering symptom, and the weird thing is that warming up with physical activity doesn't trigger it. No issues wrestling, but just standing out in the heat will.
Well, yeah. But that definitely counts. I mean, think of when you had the flu. The last time you had a really bad flu, where it laid you on your back for 5 days, and you were 5 more days fully recovering. But when you were done with those 10 days, you had no lingering symptoms. The lingering symptom is something else. That's something else that's happening. It seems to be happening with long COVID in a way that. Oh, someone calling the bean a raccoon. Oh. See, she goes up there to watch her domain, but then it gets too warm. But not for the next 5 days. After today, this summer heat is going away, I guess. It's good. It's good to get this little wake up because it really does let you know that the house is not ready. The house is not ready at all. I need to find all kinds of warm weather clothing, of fans and cooling stuff, and rearrange things, all that sort of stuff, and also launder and store the blankets. They obviously won't be needed after this coming week.
Yeah, with regards to the COVID, like when I had it, the only thing that started getting better after I no longer would have been tested as positive with it was the breathing. But it only got so much better, and then it took almost a year. But I still have issues with the breathing. So it's and then what really did it? I did have the vaccine. I had the first vaccine, and it laid me out for about 3 weeks. The nurse came to do it here, and within 20 minutes, I could barely crawl from the toilet after. I won't even go into the details there. Back to my bed, across the hall. I could barely get back into my bed, and that's how bad I was and I never got any of the other vaccinations. They wanted me to go somewhere, and I said, I'm not going anywhere to get this. Like, who's going to clean up the mess? Who's going to pick me up off the floor and bring me home and put me to bed?
Yeah, my surly houseboy got hit really hard by the side effects of his first COVID vaccine. I gave him the whole of the day off. So
I know. Well, I guess we should get to books. So
I guess
what
so.
have you been reading this week, Greg?
That book isn't coming up today. Okay. I've been reading 2 books for the BookTube Prize, so I'm not going to say too much about them. I finished one called Under the Skin by Linda Valenzuela, and I've been reading another one on World War II. I'm just not going to get into those. But I did DNF this book, Manhunt by Gretchen Felcher Martin. This came highly recommended by Criminale, and who was the Say Kevi for Trans Girl April. And it's sort of a dystopian post-apocalyptic book where all the men have been turned into some sort of carnivorous creatures, except the women and the trans men. And it just did not captivate me at all. I was reading through it and going, yeah, it's kind of violent, kind of bloody, but mostly it was just dull. So I DNF'd it. They said, I don't have enough life to spare to read a boring book. Now this one, I liked a lot.
Airport.
I actually listened to this as an audio book. The narrator was a little droll, but he was serviceable. And it's very clearly a book from the mid-'60s. There is a scene where you have a girl at a ticket counter, and a very rude customer comes in, and she has to go off to the back room and have a good cry to get over it. I'm going like, I don't think that would fly very well nowadays. Also, it's a very slower pace than modern novels, but I found myself enjoying this slower pace, this detail of getting to know the characters and getting in depth, because it is about a bomb on a plane. The bomb does not get on the plane until about 70% into the book, where if you were a modern thriller, that bomb would be on the plane by page 10. Right?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going like, it's okay to have character reactions and deal with all the other issues in this book. It's like, there's a huge snowstorm. And I found his description of the snow and the ice totally fascinating. It was just wonderful to read or listen. Now, there's one issue I had with the audiobook is I was listening to it and a word came up and I go, wait a second. That word does not fit with this book. And it was describing a non-Caucasian character. And I go, has this book been boulderized for audio? So I went out, and this book cost me $1 at a used bookstore, And I looked up, and yeah, someone, at least in the audio version,
You went out and checked?
I did. It stands out. I mean, the word in the book is not a bad. I can say Negro. That's not a bad word. He described a character as a Negro in the text, but in the audiobook was African American.
No.
And I'm saying, wait a second, that word was not used in the mid. I mean, it really doesn't affect the quality of the book. But my question is, what else was changed in this book? You already have some issues where women are treated like women were treated in the 60s, like the girl that goes out for a good old-fashioned cry.
Well, what about other things along those lines?
I didn't check everything. I mean, that's the only one that stood out immediately, that just struck me as that did not belong in the book. Now, again, they could have described a female character as fat, and maybe someone cut that out. And I would not notice that because it's just a word that's missing. And I love this because, when you have this paperback, you're not going to see it. But all the old paperbacks describe this as an actual reprint of the hardcover, and they go, not one word has been omitted. And I think that is no longer used. I mean,
no, you can't do that anymore. No, not at all. That was done because of Reader's Digest, because Reader's Digest was so popular. So condensed versions of books were all the rage. And a lot of readers didn't like that, didn't want to encounter that. But in Airport, isn't there a stewardess who Haley routinely refers to as mannish? Surely that was changed in the book.
Maybe it had. Maybe it does not strike a bell. Now there was a stewardess. I mean, she was British, but she was not described as mannish. So maybe that got taken out of the. Now the thing is, I'd like to go to a regular book and look at the new versions and check to see, are the new versions changed as well.
Is it still in print then? I guess.
Oh, Airport's absolutely in print.
Okay.
This is actually a very good book.
Oh yeah, I remember reading it.
I enjoyed this. I could highly recommend it. I'm just saying, okay, we get it. You're being nice to people. The thing is, even in the context of the book, the author was not disparaging people of other races. He was actually very complimentary to one of the characters, saying how far he had gotten in a field that did not appreciate non-whites in the field. But whoever did the modern version, just change that. And I actually wanted to bring it up because a week before I was reading another nonfiction book for the BookTube Prize about blacks in World War II. And one of his last comments is he wanted to write this book because he wants to make sure people understand how horribly they were treated during war, how much discrimination they experienced as soldiers fighting for our country. And there is a scene, well, I won't use the actual language, but he says, soldiers are coming off from the field to go, white soldiers on the right, black soldiers on the left. Now, that was not the word they used in the book. He went full core what they actually said. And if you start changing that, you are actually changing the way people can interpret history. You could not write that book in 30 years if all the texts are changed, because you're going like, oh, as Arthur Haley called them African Americans, he was very progressive.
Right.
You lose that.
Mm-hmm.
You're changing the interpretation of history. And still, I think whatever it is, this is a good book. It's fun.
Yeah, I think ever since Airplane, I don't think I could ever read that again or watch the film because I'm always thinking of Leslie Nelson.
Yes. And yesterday I finished a book for Agatha Christie weekend. I did And Then There Were None, which of course has a very famous change in the title twice. Several times. And yeah, I can sort of see the original, but it was a fun, Agatha Christie is fun. I have not. This is my only second book by her I've ever read, and her writing is just really oversimplistic. It's very simple sentences, not a whole lot of detail. Some of her paragraphs are maybe 2 sentences long. So I read the whole book in one day, which I know for Steve that's nothing special for you to read a whole book in one day. But I read it in starting about 2:00, and I was done by 10:30. But it's an interesting mystery. I sort of think it was a little far-fetched at the very end of that.
Just
A bit, yeah.
You think it's just a little bit far-fetched?
yeah, the number one thing I used to hate it about
that,
her. Now I think it's charming, but how far-fetched some of her books are. I used to hate it.
Even a police in 1938 would have been able to figure it out.
Yeah.
They would have known something was
when I
wrong.
thought that we were supposed to take Agatha Christie seriously. The minute I realized that you're not supposed to take her seriously, then she can do anything she wants.
I know, but the thing is, it's not a spoiler. I kind of like the idea that there's this. Well, I won't spoil it. It's a fun idea. It's absolutely delightful,
But now you've got me wondering, if I walked into a Barnes and Noble and looked at the new paperback copy of Airport, would the word be changed?
that's what I want to do. That's what I want to go check that.
That's disgusting. If that's true, that's disgusting.
It's
And who's not vulnerable to it? Think of Alex Haley's best-selling contemporary, James Michener. How much could you change in his books? The one that won him his biggest prize is about life in the Pacific during the middle of the century. There's tons of stuff in that book that you would.
It is, and here's one that they're going to change or just put out a print. George MacDonald Fraser, Flashman book.
But even further afield than that, what about the TV show MASH?
Oh yeah, yeah.
How are you supposed to honor that? How are you supposed to even talk about it when you've got not only Klinger but also the head of the nurses being called Hot Lips? How is anyone supposed to talk about that if that's allowed to happen?
Oh, I hope this is just a phase people are going through. I mean, I don't see a whole lot of readers demanding that a very mild racial epitaph that's no longer used to be changed. I just don't see readers demanding it. I just don't see it. Now, maybe there are some people who prefer it, but I just don't. I've never seen anyone who says, "Oh, I can't read Airport because he calls someone a Negro."
But the problem is one person can change all that, because it's like songs on the radio. One person calls in and complains about it, they ban a song from the airwaves, or 2 people. And it's like, meanwhile, like, yeah, that's 2. It doesn't matter what there is. You could say, hello, good morning. And there's going to be somebody out there that's going to object to that phrase. So therefore we can't use that anymore. There's going to be 1 or 2 people. So yeah,
there's a song that it can't 70s. It's called Jet Airliner by oh God, who did that? There's a song that you don't mind some mild swearing in your channel, do you?
No.
The song that he doesn't want to get caught up in the funky shit going down in the city. And if you hear it, some versions say kicks.
Yeah.
And I'm going like, really? You complaining about that?
Yes. Or play that funky music. Who is playing?
Oh, yeah, that's not. Steve Miller. Steve Miller Band. Alan saved me.
Well, it goes right back to Johnny Horton's Battle of New Orleans. When they released it here in the UK, they did change the caught the bloody British in the town of New Orleans. They changed it from bloody British. I can't remember what they changed it to, but they thought it would offend the British. So therefore they changed it.
Yeah, but Mark's out. He's sick, so we don't have to worry. I think wasn't he in command of the troops at the Battle of New Orleans? So we don't have to worry, because he's out for the show.
let's. Are you finished there, Greg? Or are you still got?
I'm done. That's what I finished reading last week.
Okay, let's go through some catch up on some comments here. Hamilton Thompson, hello. Spaminator, cats are indeed evil, and that's what I have for it. Yeah.
It struck me as a multiple cat person.
Oh, Greg, why? I have that book, Manhunt. Yeah, so you've already gone through that. Manhunt sounds like a Steve book.
Not a chance in the world. Oh no, with no disrespect intended to Ollie. Not a chance in the world.
Wow, Manhunt sounds like it would appeal to such a wide audience.
I haven't read the book, but I can guarantee, I haven't read the book, but I can guarantee that the subtext is not just that cis-het white men are all dead, but that they deserve to die. And
I didn't mention it before, but the main villains are women called TERFs.
Naturally.
And they like to tattoo their forehead with a double X. And I'm going, if you were to write a book with a non-Caucasian people doing something like that, you would get such complaints. You'd be howls of like. And I wonder. I mean, I'm sorry. I have to wonder if the author's getting a lot of leeway because she's trans.
You think? I'm going to sign on to that little theory there myself.
That's an interesting point Hamilton is making here about that, analog clocks, 59 seconds. So, and it's like, yeah, because like with the, with an analog clock, you couldn't set the timer for more than 12 hours ahead. Yeah, could you?
So you don't have to worry about that in this book.
Maybe they were worried about international listeners, as the word is not tolerated so well in some countries as others. Probably it's tolerated the least now in probably the United States or North America.
Yeah, I'd say the United States is the number one place where they would not accept it.
Plus, international readers for Airport in 2023. I don't know how many there are going to be.
Like Sally Keller Manish. Dies. What? Oh, big. Oh, sorry. The booktube, if it was for the international audience, wouldn't it have been changed to black instead of African American? Yeah. Okay, Faulkner in August. On the battlefield, it was left flank and right flank.
Probably talking about the scene when I said how to divide up the races in the book.
Yeah. Aaron, what would be the change expected in my country, but I cannot say for everywhere. In Spain, it likely would have stayed, but I bet it gave the kittens all the same. Yes, I'm serious, and don't call me Shirley. Oh, come on. Hello.
Hello, MJ.
Hey. All the title. Oh, I just read something else there, but we won't say that.
Why not? We all have them.
Some bigger than others.
Where's autocorrect when you need it?
And you know something? That was not the title she gave the book.
No. No. Although the very first thing that came to Sean's mind would have made a great title for that book.
Any fans of Patricia Wentworth histories? Yeah,
they're so good. They're so good. Talk about suspending disbelief, but they are so good.
You would have thought that the police would have worked out that whoever Mrs. Ms. Marple went everybody got killed, and she got away with it for so long. I'm sure somebody's probably done that. Probably written a Miss Marple book that she's the murderer, or even
they made a joke. There was the TV series called Murder She Wrote with Angela Lansbury, and someone mentioned, there's a whole lot of murder around this woman. It's just like
the key thing about Christie, though, that crops up over and over again in her books is that her murders are generally violent. They're more often violent, physically violent, than they are, for instance, poison or something like that. You strip away the plot red herrings in the Christie novel, it's almost always somebody being pretty brutal. And that exempts Miss Marple. Doesn't exempt Hercule Poirot. I think he's got a lot of repressed anger. No, Bad as Rad is right. If you have classics, or even, no one's calling Arthur Haley a classic, but don't get rid of anything.
They're getting more expensive. Like I said, I was surprised I got this for $1.
In that condition, you could get it for $10 on eBay.
Yeah. But the little bookstore, is run by a little old lady, and she has her prime books, like some books you don't get store credit. You can't use credit for. But this is one. You're looking at the old books. So this one has probably been on her shelf for a number of years, because who but me would pick up an old version of Airport,
Yeah, Amazon does do strange things like that. So that just means if I get pissed off at somebody, I can just make a complaint and they'll get rid of their book.
Or someone could complain about your book.
I realized that halfway through my sentence, and I hope nobody brought it up.
You should have given your book the title you were thinking of. That title just works just in general.
Yeah, Steve Miller.
I like the other one, Original Uncut. I think, someone should do a sample. No publisher would do it. It's like, edit. What would be the phrase they would use? Edited for sensitivity or original and uncut?
Right. But publishers won't do that, and they won't do it. They won't avoid doing it because it wouldn't make them money. They'll avoid doing it out of threat of extortion. The same reason that they hired sensitivity readers to begin with. Sensitivity readers very much do not want their bawdlerized version competing with an uncut version, because they know that fans won't buy the bawdlerized version. They know that they can't perform in the marketplace, so they use threats to make sure that they don't. So we have a new TV series that's adapted from a beloved graphic novel. Instead of having a main character who's a badass, we're going to have a main character who's a 5-foot-tall black woman who's tossing around armed guards like they were pancakes. And we don't want you to compete with that. So you have another show in the pipeline, you, the production company, cancel it, or we'll cancel you. Because we don't want fans having an option of where to go. If you give fans an option between a sensitivity reader, Peter Pan, and the original, they'll take the original. All of them. No one will opt for the other one. So we'll never see that choice.
Just this, I think this was interesting. I just remembered watching, it wasn't a YouTube video. I think it was on Instagram. And this states that it's a real commercial in China. And it's a laundry detergent commercial where this woman who's Chinese, and her boyfriend comes, and it's a black guy. She stuffs a laundry detergent capsule in his mouth, throws him in the washing machine, and then it does it, and he comes out as a Chinese guy.
Oh my God.
And it's like,
I want proof that there is such a thing. I don't believe.
Yeah, but it's like if it's not, somebody's gone to a lot of trouble to create this, and I'm just going, they may see things a little different there, We Brits cannot be offended.
It's not entirely true. Look at some of the measures that are being taken in your city councils. You'll see that your country's definitely not free of it. But
yeah, there's so many songs that could be
What now? There's the song is by one of the Beatles, independent, called "You're Beautiful, You're 16, and You're Mine" or something. You know, basically saying he's got a 16-year-old girlfriend, and someone made a comment: "You're beautiful, you're 16, and I'm going to jail."
I thought about that just the other day. I was waiting in line, and there was Muzak playing, and they were playing who is it? Is it Springsteen that does a dumb, slow version of "Blinded by the Light"?
Well, that's his original version.
His original version, just ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous.
It's not.
Then Manfred Mann remade it, and Manfred Mann did the version that is great. You should never play the version that isn't great if you have the option to play the version that is great. But this, while I was listening to this music, they were playing the lament. They were playing it as a lamentation, and I was thinking, this music had better get better with the next song. And the next song was "Paradise by the Dashboard Light" by Meatloaf. And I was listening to it. I was, of course, incredibly happy that they played it. But then I got to the line, "Ain't no doubt about it, we were doubly blessed because we were barely 17 and we were barely dressed." So were we groomers when we were loving that song when Casey Kasem played it 30 years ago? Were we groomers and we didn't know it?
Well, you just. But the thing is, you just look. They're still on the statutes of many countries. Well, it's been being changed, but parents could okay a 13-year-old getting married. You know, and it's really strange.
The screaming hypocrisy of the American right wing going nuts about groomers on the left. While where was it? Just recently, was it Kentucky that passed a law that said 12-year-old marriage was okay? And the guy, when he was questioned about it in the well on camera, defended it.
Thank you, Big Al. Can we get a BookTube at War canon video, Steve?
Which do you mean? Do you mean canon with one N or canon with two? It could be either one if it's BookTube at War.
There's no way to do that. You could pick a canon for civil American.
That's not a bad idea. In July, I should do that. A starter kit for military literature, just in general, broadchurch. So
okay,
5 nonfiction, and then I could just go on with starter kits for the Peloponnesian War or.
Well, Steve, if we get to the subject of BookTube on war, I want to ask you a recommendation for a book. If we get to it.
Well,
I'm going through the comments here.
Yeah, go through the comments. Let's see if we get to BookTube on war.
Jenny says the closest I get to reading mysteries is Preston.
Jenny,
never heard of these. Never heard of them. So
you definitely need to branch out and try more. Don't wait for March Mystery Madness. Try an Ellis Peters, for Pete's sake.
Try Raymond Chandler.
Or Raymond Chandler.
Oh yeah, Chandler.
Okay, I'm sort of showing my preference for the older ones, but it's okay.
Purchased that book Notice by Heather because of Ollie's hype. It's not all that disturbing or anything. I purchased that book because it was a rare print, and I've never heard of it. I don't know what book that is. So
it's the one that got Ollie 10,000 subscribers.
Okay. Peter Pan was a right little bastard in the book. Gen Z will probably read the sanitized versions, as I don't think they're tough or mature enough for the real text. Send me that link.
You would not notice in like an airport that, like I said, it just struck me immediately that the text had been changed, because I guess I'm old enough to realize that languages evolve, and it's like, but maybe Gen Z would not even notice.
Alan, I think you're referring to that commercial, but it was just a reel. I don't have a link for it. If you probably search on the net, you could probably find it, but then you might get police cars coming up to your building. Steve, what do you define as an old book? Pre-Roman Republic or pre-Trojan?
Oh, I should stress, in connection with what Greg said, languages evolve, but printed books are not languages. They're artifacts. and they don't evolve, and they shouldn't. Just saying. Common usage does evolve, but not a printed book. It's under no obligation to do that. And this isn't natural evolution that they're going through. This is censorship. Yes, yes. And what's the other one? There's another one I'm thinking of. There's a classic song from right about that same time period where the narrator says, it starts with that great alto line, Jenny's on a vacation far away, but it goes on for the narrator to say, I like my lovers a little bit younger.
I'm not sure. Well, I was just thinking
I think he's saying I like my lovers a little bit older, because he's talking about he's weighing the pros and cons of whether or not he will deflower some 13-year-old.
I don't know exactly if it was 10,000, but his channel went ballistic after he didn't notice.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how many.
I was thinking of the Knacks, so the My Sharona and stuff like that. I wonder how that would fly today. Okay, well, if we hold off on the comments for a little bit, and we'll get to Steve. I thought the whole point of books was to be a snapshot of the past. Part of the point, yeah. Sorry, I was off topic. I was accidentally watching 30 minutes behind. Oh, crikey. Are we an hour? Or almost an hour?
I'm going to have to leave in a short amount of time. You two can keep going. But,
yeah, Steve, what have you been reading this week?
Oh, right. That's right. Well, I read a lot this week. I read this thing, The Rough Rider and the Professor, about Theodore Roosevelt and Henry Cabot Lodge. And it was dumb. Unfortunately, it was exactly what I was worried that it would be. The risk you run when you read a popular history book that happens to be about two people you know a lot about. I've read a lot about Theodore Roosevelt, and to put it mildly, I know not a lot about Henry Cabot Lodge. Not that it matters. It matters if you know a lot about Theodore Roosevelt. Henry Cabot Lodge is largely forgotten in history, but I know pretty much everything there is to know about him, including tons and tons of papers that have never been used. There's never been a Henry Cabot Lodge full dress biography in modern times. So that I've seen and held all sorts of stuff at the Massachusetts Historical Society or in the bowels of the Athenaeum. And it was, the book had, I shouldn't say that it was dumb. In fact, I should say that it was canny. It knew exactly what it wanted to do. It knew exactly what audience it was going for. Unfortunately, in the minds of a lot of publishers, the history reading public, they now think of as synonymous with the people who read the Bill O'Reilly books, killing Hitler, killing FDR, that sort of thing. The ones that Alex Dugard co-writes or writes for him, the very bottom of the barrel in terms of history, but they sell. And I think too many publishers, including the publisher of this one, just think, well, that's the register that we need. If we put too much meat on the bone, readers won't want it. I never know what to say about that. The Professor and Rough Rider is not going to sell even a tenth as many copies as Dermot McCullough's biography of Thomas Cromwell, which is 1,000 pages long and the best biography on the figure that's ever been done. Now, you could say, if you're a publisher, you could say, well, that's because of Hilary Mantel. And we don't have anything like that for this. But I don't think so. I don't believe that. I think the reading audience is out there. And anyway.
Well, here's a question for you, Steve, because I'm reading a book on World War II history. It's 1,000 pages long with endnotes. And it is just as dull can be, because he's getting really deep into the weeds. He will say how many soldiers were at this place at this time, down to like a single, like 382. But then he'll mention Rommel. Now, we all know who Rommel is, right? But he won't mention who he is in the book. He says, Rommel did this.
Oh, my.
I'm going, okay, you have to introduce. I mean, I know.
Oh, my.
What? But the thing is, the book's 1,000 pages. If he had to introduce every character, every historical figure with a little bit of detail, that would add 100, 200 pages to the book.
Well,
But
you don't need more than half a paragraph to introduce Rommel. It's better to do that than not to introduce him at all. Is this a book for the
at
book
most
prize?
a page, at most a sentence.
Is this for the BookTube prize? Is that
Yes.
why you're not identifying it?
Yes.
I wonder if I've already read it. I must have already read it. It's from last year, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I probably can guess which one you're talking about, but well, you'll be able to talk about that for BookTube at War,
I could,
right?
but
So we are free to talk about works of nonfiction as well as fiction
we are.
for BookTube at War.
The thing is, it's a book that's, I think, written for people who are very knowledgeable of World War II history.
Yeah. Well, that would be why you wouldn't explain your players.
Right. It's like
An editor would have
expects you to know everything. He's getting into the details of what he thinks actually was different from other historians. And it's not, the thing is, I know enough World War II history to identify the main figures, but not enough for me to care about his nuanced detail of how this event was different from the other historians.
I have a BookTube at War thing that it's a Friday reads because I'm going to read it today, but it doesn't come out until August. It's this thing. It's a new, Godine has a new imprint line of, they call it non-pareil, where they're reprinting books by authors apparently at random. And this is The Lieutenant by Andrew Dubus. This is his debut. Oh. This is the first thing he ever wrote. It's set in the Pacific Theater in World War II. And I don't think I've ever read it. I've never really did. Greg, do you have this guy's big collection of short stories?
Yes, I do.
Oh, okay. I had that and I read through it and I thought, this is pretty much all this author that I need, but I got this, so I will give this a try and see. It's August, but that's not far off from BookTube at War. And maybe a debut. I mean, debuts are well known for having more fire in the belly, usually, than what an author goes on to do.
Yeah.
That's not always true, but maybe the debut will be something that I will like. And then the last one that I want to mention involves us all. The Science of Reading, which goes into great detail about what is actually happening with reading, where your eye is going, how you're actually piecing sentences together. I'm sure there'll be a long chunk of it on subvocalizing and other related habits that readers have. So that will do for my Friday reads. It was a very, very good reading week for me. Very, very good. So my numbers are excellent.
Okay, let's catch up on some here. Comments, bad is red. Right, Alan? Well, they're talking to each other, so. Happy Friday, guys. My Friday reads book is Dune Messiah.
I have been so tempted by that new hardcover set of Dune that it's the first 3 books with new artwork on the cover, new dust jackets, cover artwork on the inside in a slipcase. It's like over $100 on Amazon, but it is so tempting. I've just stopped myself by saying, I have plenty of copies of these books. I do not need more, no matter how pretty they are. But the cover artwork is really good on it.
Yeah, I have the Dune on Kindle, and really, I think that's fine. A book like Dune is fine on Kindle. It's nothing. But I don't know.
No. Keep in mind, Bad is Rad. That was my idea for Sean. If he's having trouble holding a book, he should find someone to hold his books.
Yeah, well, so if you would take a stud, I can take a female. Let's just put it that way.
What kind of perversion is that? But then again, I've heard that perverts like you are like 9 out of 10 people. It's so awful.
I take it they're good. The Dune books. I've only read the first one. I enjoyed that one.
The usual estimation by Dune readers is that Dune is great. Dune Messiah is a dip. Children of Dune is really great, almost as good as Dune. And then the usual estimation is that Dune readers say is that they drop off after that. I don't think they do, But
no, I think they're great. All the way through. Like, yeah, Dune Messiah.
Conversation. We want to order that set.
There is one part of the Children of Dune that got me just really. I don't know. There's a suspension of disbelief in Children of Dune. I won't spoil it, where the main character does something with sandworms, and then he can do all this really great stuff afterwards. And I'm going, just tone down the great stuff just a little.
No, what are you talking about? My skin is not my own.
I'm talking about him throwing spaceships.
Well, he doesn't throw spaceships. He doesn't do that. He knocks down a steel door and skids it across the floor, but not a space. He can't travel in space. He's just inhumanly strong. That's all.
Yeah, I think I love the Dune books, but yeah, somebody needs to buy me the set then. I knew they were coming out. I didn't know there was a box set of them.
Yeah, oh, it's lovely. Absolutely lovely. I'm so tempted. I didn't want to. I thought it would be really sort of skeevy for me to go to the publisher and say, hey, could you send me a copy? I bet they would. Especially if I told them I'm going to hold it up on my channel so that thousands of people can see it. But,
well, no, that's the way to do it, Steve. Have them send it to me, and then we'll go on a live on your channel, and I'll hold it up, and then you've still held it up on your channel.
That's another thing, too. If I were to ask the publisher to send it to me, what would Mark Richardson get to write in intervening letters and he said, please don't do that?
Well, I'll go my reading week. I'll go to my reading. Hasn't been that great. I read stuff on the weekend, and then I started the 4th Dance to the Music of Time volume at Lady Molly's. I didn't think I'd read this one before, but then when I read 50 pages of it, the first chapter, and then he's working as a script writer and then all of a sudden I remembered.
Oh yeah, you can't forget those things. Those are instant. Yeah. Anything to do with writing in the book is instantly memorable in any of them.
And then I've sort of tried to remember some of the air one, and I've had some deja vu things because I was really hoping for something different than actually happened. So now I've been deflated, but I have to.
I don't know how you can keep things straight between Brothers and Strangers and Dance to the Music of Time. You're reading both of them at the same time. Well, you've got to be the only person who's ever done that.
Well, I am doing it, and it's working.
Going to Oxford now?
Have you caught up? Have you caught up to the first?
No, I have not. But I would never read those two series back to back. Yeah.
Well, it's actually fun because I'm actually enjoying this better by doing that.
Are you really?
Yeah, I'm actually enjoying it better.
Oh my God, that's doing it. Oh, Golem Muad'Dib, you are pushing me towards getting this series. All right, fine. On Monday morning, I will request a copy of that box set. If the publisher says yes, then I will do a read-along.
Will they do us? I guess they'll do the next 3 maybe as well.
No idea.
God, I really want these, but I can't do it. So somebody, I need a GoFundMe account thing for the 2 books.
The answer here is very simple. I hate Faulkner because he stinks. He's a stupid, threadbare, dumb, hackneyed, cliched, racist author. I've had Faulkner fans for 100 years now tell me, "Oh no, it's the characters who are racist, not Faulkner himself." Right. Pull the other one. It's got bells on it. Well, dump him off the back of the sled. Just dump him. Dump him wholesale.
Alan and I and some other people are going to be potentially talking about some Faulkner stories. And we're going to start off with Dry September. Do you remember that story?
I do.
And it was written in the 30s, the original, somewhere in the 30s. And it parallels an event that happened in the 50s. Very closely. And I'm going like, do you want me to describe the event or just? The story sets it up where a black man has been accused of talking to a white woman.
Hi, Brandy.
And so they go out and lynch him. And there's one character back saying, no, don't have to lynch him. Don't have to lynch him. And then 20 years later, Emmett Till.
Yeah.
So when you say Faulkner is racist. Parts of them are, but parts of them are very aware of the racism in that
you can
society.
be an aware racist.
Right.
And I wouldn't mind. I'm not holding him to the moral standard of the 21st century. I wouldn't mind. I would find that element interesting. There are racist authors that I read and like, but only if the prose is good, and it isn't ever anywhere. Unless maybe for Book 2 Book War, I should reread his World War I novel, his historical novel.
A fable?
Maybe, yeah, maybe I could. It's been a long time since I read that. I read it in an old Signet paperback that would probably be $200 on eBay. It's been a long time since I did that. Maybe, but there's so much else to read for Book 2 Book War.
Yeah, well, I think in my I can't remember what I called it, the 5 authors or something like that, and I think Faulkner was one of them. I got flack for every single author.
I'm still reeling that you're reading 2 of those immense British saga novels at the same time. What's the one big one that you're not reading? Deltafield.
Remember,
right?
The thing passed.
Deltafield.
Oh, I've read Deltafield.
He did a long sequence, right?
Galsworthy.
The Avenue Goes to War.
Yeah.
Where we follow characters throughout, a whole generation.
Galsworthy is the
Galsworthy. That's right, of course.
I want to do that because somebody mentioned it. I just don't have the books, and they're on my wish list. And I was hoping somebody would buy them, so I could add that every month as well. And I'm reading Zola's 20 volume as well. I'm reading.
Yeah, but Zola doesn't count because he stinks. Whereas the other 3 authors that we're talking about do not. And why don't they? Because they wrote in English.
Yeah, Delafield, I really love. I like his serve. What is it? No, is it
Serve Them All My Days? Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. I really enjoyed that.
He's fantastic. And 30 years ago, I forget who the publisher was, brought out some of his books, and I saw that in Publishers Weekly, and I thought, oh, that's fantastic. I will hand sell these. And then the books came into the shop, and they were so poorly made. Just really, really poorly made. The old paperbacks were better. So I couldn't show them to customers. I did show them to customers, but I told the customer, don't buy this copy. It was what my managers always used to pull out their hair, because I would say that to customers. I'd say, this is definitely an author you want to read, but don't buy it. This copy won't survive one read. So don't bother. And there's never been another one. So
you've got a choice here, Steve. Aaron is asking.
Well, I'm probably going to say Joyce more than Faulkner, because Faulkner doesn't offer an even rise to the level of me hating him. Whereas Joyce, he came from an environment, he knew the right people, he had the right teachers, he had the right literary inclinations. He could have been the 20th century's greatest author. So with him, there's an added element of resentment there.
I've never read the Simon Raven's Alms.
Yeah, but Simon Raven is second rate. I guess there are people who would say that. Well, actually, there are people who would say that C.P. Snow is second rate as well. But you could still do it, because the Alms for Oblivion series has some really good stuff in it. And also, there's also Cynthia Harrod Eagles, right? Who wrote like 40 books following a family throughout every era of British history. Is that her name? Cynthia Harrod Eagles, I think, is her name.
Yeah, there's another one. She's British, but what's her name? She does stuff, and they're usually set. Well, they're set sort of during the war, but it is a family saga, and I can't remember her name. I think she's British. She might not be. She might not be British though. That's the thing. Anyway, I can't remember. But there's quite a few British sagas. But yeah, but as you know, Strangers and Brothers is my favorite. And even though I do have to admit that Anthony Pohl is a better stylist.
He's a better writer. Yeah. He's
but
the best writer
I don't like the story as much because the characters are but I think that's the point. The characters are airheads. Like there's not much there.
Right. In Pohl's book, you have to be content with Widmerpool. He's the only character who actually stands out with any kind of three-dimensionality. Whereas in C.P. Snow, there are a couple of characters that do. There are a couple of Widmerpools there. Whereas
Well, I like what is it, Uncle Giles, but we don't actually see Uncle Giles that often.
Yeah, it's a.
I'm curious, Steve, what was the most heated conversation in a live stream that you ever had over a subject?
It wasn't all that heated. I had a live stream once where someone came on and reprimanded me, and you don't get to do that. That's just simple house rules. That's just simple courtesy. You don't get to do that. I know we're all tempted to adapt to the 21st century where there's no such thing as rudeness anymore, but you don't come onto somebody's live stream and bait them. I won't put up with it. I don't think anyone should put up with it. But I have to go. I'm terribly sorry to do this.
I have one quick question for Steve. One quick question.
Yes.
Recommend a Russian novel about World War II that isn't huge.
Why?
Because I'm doing it for BookTube on war, and I have Life and Fate and Stalingrad by Vasily Grossman, Possibilities of Russian Novels, and I want something shorter.
Why? You're retired. You say it in every video. Why would you want something shorter? The Russians don't do shorter. I mean, you could do One Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich by Solzhenitsyn.
That's not World War II. Not really.
But it is war. You won't get better than Life and Fate. Why not just do that? The Russians don't do short. so I'm having a hard time even thinking of one. There are a few Cold War Russian novels, but not World War II.
Okay. No, I can't answer
that. Your time is better spent on Life and Fate, which is a genuinely great novel.
Have you read Stalingrad?
I have. It also is a genuinely great novel. Or I guess if you really wanted, you could find an abridgment.
No.
Well, okay, then you're stuck with behemoths. It's just the way it is. I mean, that's like saying, I would really like a relationship novel written, a really, really good relationship novel from Italy, but I really don't want anything sexy. You can't do that. You can't say I want a really good Russian war novel, but it can't be long. That's not what the Russians do.
July only has so much room.
My vote is going to be Life and Fate. Absolutely.
Before Stalingrad?
Before Stalingrad, yeah. The only other, maybe Quiet Flows the Dawn, if you can get the big newer translation, the one that's 1,000 pages long. You don't want the abridgments that Penguin brought out.
I have the old paperbacks.
You have the old paperbacks from Penguin with the green spines, the olive green spines.
Hold on, Sakura, who is which one? Where are my he's S. It's on there somewhere. Let me see where my.
They must be those old Penguin trade paperbacks with the olive.
I think they're Vantage, not Penguin, Vantage.
It's Greg.
These are the ones that I have.
Oh, whoa. No, those aren't the ones I'm thinking of at all. Oh, wow. Well, those are abridged. But they're short enough. Maybe.
700 and some odd pages for the first one. 760.
Well, there's a big new translation that is well worth your time. I don't know if it's still huge though, so it won't help. I'll have to ask. Zach from the Brattle Bookshop is a big fan of Russian literature. He might know a shorter work that
No, it's just because for BookTube on War, I'm trying to read a novel from all the major nations. U.S., Britain, France, Germany, Asia Pacific, Holocaust, and Russia.
Okay. All right.
Just read, a World War II book with a book from every one of those countries or areas.
What's your American one going to be?
Easy peasy stuff.
Oh, good for you. I thought you were going to foist Mailer on me. Good for you.
No.
Oh, wow.
This one, because Holocaust, I'm thinking of this one.
Oh, man. Look at that paperback. I haven't seen that in forever. That is such a good book. He is such a good author.
I loved his Hiroshima.
Yeah, but I should point out that if you use that for book 2 goes to war, you will be canceled. Because it's cultural appropriation. You are not allowed to write about the Holocaust unless you lost all 4 of your grandparents. And you might say, well, doesn't that mean I'm not here? Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You have to have lost all 4 grandparents in the Holocaust in order to write about it in 2023. So you're not allowed to read The Wall, unfortunately. You have to go with pick number 2.
I still may read The Wall.
You know, you holding up the plane, Guns of Navarone, reminds me there was a Russian writer. He was an expat. But there was a Russian writer writing Alistair MacLean type books, military thrillers, in the 60s. Would that count? He wasn't writing it at the time.
I don't think this was written at the time, was it?
Drive me crazy. That's going to drive me crazy.
This was 56, so not writing. I mean,
no, okay.
But,
so
he lived through World War II, so he counts.
Right, and the Russian that I'm thinking of did also, but he emigrated and wrote thrillers starring the same characters. Oh, that's going to drive me crazy. I'll find out and email you. But anyway, I have to go.
Okay.
I hate to do it. I ordinarily stay for the whole 4 hours of a live stream, but I've got an immovable object coming up hard at 2:30, so I've got to.
Well, you missed that by 5 hours, Steve. It's 20 past 7.
Clearly, what you need, Sean, is a clock tender as well. And the chat seems to be okay with you having those, and they don't seem to be lining up with your weird perversion that it should be a shapely young woman.
Well, I think that has shifted. You haven't been following the chat.
Oh, I haven't. Oh, are they shifting to deviance? Oh, gross. I'll go on eBay and see what I can do.
Steve, you know what I'm doing for the BookTube at War? It's future wars, fake wars between England and Germany.
Yeah, or I mean, there are so many books along those lines. My beloved Howard Waldrop.
Mark just said MacLean is British.
He did it. He did
American.
Right.
Oh, but is it about Americans or is it about British?
It's been too long since I read it. You might have to scrap that.
I think it's international.
I might have to scrap it.
I think there's, if I remember right, there's
an
British and Americans.
Yeah. But if you have to scrap it, there's always Mailer.
There's the Dirty Dozen.
I have indeed, bad as rad. I have indeed read The Rape of Nanking. Yeah. That is a tough book. That is a tough book. It's brilliant, but it's tough. It is really, really hard to get through that book. Not because the prose isn't great, but because it is so incredibly harrowing. Just incredibly harrowing. Jenny Parks says, yes, Jenny Parks, bad as rad has said that they are just getting to know me. So they don't know the perils of asking a have you read question. But anyway. He
doesn't remember the have you read it? Has Steve read it?
Yes, have Steve read it. Daniel at Guilty Feet has not launched season 3.
Can someone bring that back, or is that a dead
Daniel has to do it. It's his feature. He has to do it if anybody's going to.
The last one, wasn't it? There was 3. There was me and 2 others, I think, that came the highest.
Yes.
I think.
Yes. Yeah. And there was there was also one winner, if you want to call it that. Remember we had face palms, but there was also a quantum face palm. The worst possible face palm is if you not only hold up a book that I am in print writing about, but you hold up a book where I am blurbed on the book. So this is a real face palm.
Has anyone never done that?
One did. I think Bill Rutenberg did. I think he held up
Who
a
did
poster where I was actually printed on the book. But the problem with the third season of Has Steve Read It is that everybody knows me much better. And the last season of Has Steve Read It was 3,000 videos of mine ago. So people could triangulate a lot better. We should.
Besides, I know how to get.
Daniel
I know how to
could
get 8 of 8 Canadian poetry.
Yeah, Canadian CanLit just in general.
Well, yeah, well that's what I was saying too. I was gonna pull up all these weird British transport
Yeah,
books.
No, that's at that point it's asshole picks.
If Daniel does right, and one of our rules was no a-hole picks. But if Daniel were to do it again, maybe he could change it to Does Steve Like It? That might be a little more game for everybody. But anyway, 2:30 is creeping up on me, gentlemen. I have to go. I hate to do it because this is so much fun. But I really do have to leave. We'll have to take this up again next week.
Hopefully Mark is recovered from
hopefully
the plague.
I'm hoping that I can do a live stream of my own once I'm past this thing that's coming. But it's I don't know if that's going to be possible. But I will see you all soon. Thank you all for joining the chat. This was wonderful.
Thanks for joining, Steve.
Now he's gone. So yeah, well, so you're gonna from every country. So that's interesting.
Well, the thing is, like I said, my plan is all the major players. So U.S., Britain, France, Germany. I'm doing Asia Pacific book, which I'm probably going to pick King Rat, which is not okay. It's not a Japanese author, but it is set.
Yeah,
and it's just one of my favorite books of all time. So about time to read it. What?
I think you said that. Yeah, because I like it. I've never read the whole Asia series by him, and that's something that I should do. I've only read a few. I've read Shogun. I've read King Rat. I think I've read one other, but I can't remember which one.
I've read a lot. I have not read his final Whirlwind. But yeah, I mean, I like King Rat better than I like Shogun. Which I may be an outlier there.
Yeah, well, I'm going to, like, as I was saying, my stuff's going to be all mostly, well over 100 years old, but it's sort of future wars that, and a lot of it is going to be between what they thought was going to happen between England and Germany. And there's German texts as well that have been translated. So I've been dying to read this stuff. I read some, but not all of it. Oh, that's a harrowing process. Bad. Are most people concentrating on World War II for this event? I thought it was more.
No, that's just me.
Yeah.
But I was originally going to go like different wars, like World War I, World War II, Vietnam. But then I was reading this history book on World War II that got me focused. Why don't I focus on one war and go for the different perspectives on the war? So that's just me. Everyone else is doing their own stuff.
I had thought of doing the Zulu Wars because I actually have a couple. One new book that is somebody's written. A lot of people have written it, but that this type of thing. But or Boer War. But then I remembered these, so I'm sticking to the fake wars. But yeah, the Zulu Wars could be an interesting one because you've got H. Rider Haggard, you've got other writers, all ones that are cancelable, like you can be canceled for. But as Edgar says, dead authors matter.
Indeed.
Wait till Steve gets passionate about a subject. Especially when he hates it. That's even better. But yeah, so what are you planning on reading next week? Or do you have anything on the horizons?
I do have two things I have to do. Because I am going on a cruise the week after, and that's the week they're doing the Seamus Healy translation of Beowulf. So I have to read Beowulf first make a recording, and schedule it to show when I'm on a cruise. And I'm also going to reread Grendel by John Gardner. Have you ever read Grendel?
No, I haven't read that. No.
It's because you know the premise, right?
Basically, it's from his point of view, isn't it? It's from
Right.
Grendel's
It's a story told from Grendel's point of view, but really it's like a modern existential novel about being a monster. So those are the two I want to read. I also have another book 2 prize book that I got from the library for 21 days, so I might be able to put that off to read on my cruise. So those are the three things that I definitely want to be reading next week.
And also, don't forget
Edgar.
Yeah.
I've got the Fu Manchu for my cruise, and then Bulldog for next month.
Yeah, I was just going to find them and hold them up, but I don't know where I put them. It's always great when I lose books within arm's reach. But yeah, so mine is just trying to catch up. I have so much to read. But yeah, just I'm going to plug again Edgar's Resurrectionist Book Club. So he's resurrecting. He's digging up old authors. So, but yeah, so we're gonna do that starting in May. But you're getting a head start on it.
Well, I'm also doing May of the Moderns.
Yeah.
So
are you gonna get to A Man of Quality? Do you think?
Absolutely, it's a buddy read. 2 other people.
Yeah, because I know where it is, but I don't know if I can't get to it anytime soon, and I don't think I'm going to be able to do it for a while.
It's not going to be a 1 month read. It's going to be I read 20 or so pages a morning when I get up, and then go on to another book.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm doing with Clarissa. I'm just reading it slowly every day. I was going to do 50 pages out of the Penguin, but I realized that 50 pages is like 120 pages in normal size book. So I figured that's too much for me to add on to everything else. So I've really cut it down.
Well, yeah. Well, I said, where is this? It's right here. I can go slow. 2 months, I could probably do it. If it takes me more than 2 months, that takes me more than 2 months. Because it's also going to be a very dense book. And I also have the audio book for this. And for books like this, I often like to hold the book and read it while listening to the audiobook.
I can't do that. I hear people do it. I just can't do that.
It makes you read in a slightly different way than you normally would. And for long, complex books like this, or when I read William Gaddis, it really works for me. I know Alan's in there, and it works for Alan. And I've heard other people do it too.
So, sort of lost the thread of some of these. I was looking at it from a sci-fi perspective. Are you talking, Gareth, about the
Books at War, I think, or BookTube at War.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Like, this stuff that I'm going to read is science fiction, quotation marks, because it's futuristic stuff. For J.G. Ballard. Yeah, so yeah, like all that stuff. So let's see what else is here. The book, like Steve Rantz, incredible witness. Grendel is great. So there you go. There's another plug for it. Have fun, Greg. It's going to be awesome. I want to read Seamus Heaney and Beowulf. Yeah, I haven't read Seamus Heaney's translation. I really love how you set up your bookshelf. What, just piles everywhere? By Brandy. She's probably already gone. Big Al does booktube. To Alan, I've been meaning to get to that translation. Yeah. Book Eclectic by Brandy. By Brandy. By Brandy.
Bye, Brandy.
By Brandy again in a roundabout way. People who don't do audio. Yeah, I just like, I have nothing against audio. But there's certain authors that I do like, but I haven't listened to any. Forget the Poirot.
I forgot the Parrot book, but that was last week, not this week.
Oh, Parrot book. Oh.
Yeah, that was Michael Chabon. That was his version of Sherlock Holmes.
Oh,
but when
yes,
Sherlock Holmes was 89 and was during World War II.
Ian McKellen.
Michael Chabon was the author.
No, I'm saying because they was, what was it? The film, I can't remember the name of it now, but Ian McKellen played a retired Sherlock Holmes in a film, and he's keeping bees.
He's keeping bees in this. But wonder why everyone's saying Sherlock Holmes becomes a beekeeper.
Because that's what he does in the canon. He retires and becomes a beekeeper.
Oh, see, now the thing is, I've read everything except the final collection of short stories. Maybe that's where he becomes a beekeeper.
I think so, yeah, because he's pulled out of. There's actually one story that is actually written by Sherlock himself. It's from Sherlock's point of view in the last collection.
Yeah, the problem is I've heard people saying that Doyle just really didn't have his heart in the stories anymore. It was just,
yeah, they're not the greatest, but they're still fun. Yeah, I think Mark's over the hangover. He's got something else for that at this point. But yeah, no. What am I can't think of specifically what I'm reading next week. Well, I gotta finish this and continue on stuff, and then get prepared for. Well, there's not too much preparing for the book club next month. It just. I thought it was a great idea to have, a choice of 2 books that if somebody wants to read both, that's fine. But then there's the choice. Then I just realized that I'm going to have to read both.
That's why I'm doing Fu Manchu early. It's just with my other obligations, it's just too much.
But yeah, well, they're both fairly short books. The Bulldog Drummond it's less than 300, and I think the Fu Manchu is about 300. So
I think it's less than 200.
The Bulldog Drummond?
No, Fu Manchu.
Mine is just over 300, I think. I don't know where it is.
Hold on, I have a paperback. Hold on for 1 second.
I don't know where it is at the moment. But I think it's the Titan reprint, and I think it's just over 300. But I don't know how I lose books within arm's reach, and it's a usual thing with me.
I'm pretty sure that I must have unhauled the Fu Manchu because I have it on Kindle.
Yeah, I don't know where my copy is, but it's a Titan publication, and it is just over 300, I'm sure.
Now, I do remember that the paperback I had very small print.
Okay, yeah, that would make sense. These aren't very small. These aren't small. There's omnibuses that are small. I think there's 3 or 4 omnibuses, I think. I used to have them a long time ago, but yeah, and then it took me 2 years pretty well to collect them all in the Titan versions. But anyway, I think we'll wrap it up unless anybody else have any other questions or anything else you wanted to talk about, Greg.
Nope.
Okay, Michael Chabon. Who's the guy who did the last series of Doctor Who?
And that's not him. Michael Chabon did The Amazing Adventures of Cavalier and Clay. It's his Pulitzer Prize-winning novel.
I've heard of it, yeah, but I knew he did something on TV, but I just couldn't.
I don't know. I wouldn't know.
But yeah, it sounds like somebody that I should look up at some point.
I can highly recommend The Adventures of Cavalier and Clay and the Yiddish Policeman's Union.
Yeah, that's
the Yiddish Policeman's Union is technically science fiction. It is set in an alternate reality when most of the Jews in the World War II did not get exterminated, but went to settle Alaska. So they have the Yiddish-speaking Jewish community in Alaska. And then within that, it's a murder mystery.
Yeah, Yiddish community and Alaska does not come to mind very often. That's for sure.
No, that is.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to look at him. But as I said,
it works as a literary novel. It works as a mystery novel, and it works as a science fiction novel, which you don't get very often.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. Yeah, I'm definitely. But I like the Sherlock Holmes aspect of it because I like the pastiches. But you should read the final book. Just like if you've read everything, the canon up to that point of Sherlock Holmes, you got to read the last one. Even if, as I say, there are problems with it, it's really got to be read.
The problem was when I got it, the big omnibus, and for whatever reason, the last volume was considered in copyright.
Yeah.
And so when they published it, they just dropped the final volume, and so that's why I didn't read it, is because it wasn't included, and I would have had to go outside my omnibus, which is an audiobook, to read it.
Yeah, even box sets that companies had, they always left off the final book for that reason. Yeah, all the best, Jenny.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think we'll wrap it up. That's an hour and 40 minutes. So
hey, short for us.
But it's been good, and just remember, everybody, to look at Edgar's Resurrectionist, the book club. He's going to be very pleased if a lot of people join in for this. So
he will be.
You can see the excitement. You
can see that jaw jittering. It's like,
yeah. And there'll be hopefully another video coming out, a short or something like that soon. And it's something that Roger's helping with, or at least Roger's getting his minions or a minion to help with that. So we'll see.
Okay. All right, everyone.
No.
Have a good night.
Bye, everybody.